Hello Sim fans, Racing 393. Right, I've decided to do a different type of video. I think I've done these before, but I have these great ideas. They never quite work out, but I'm going to try my best on this one. Assetto Corsa Competizione has... Well, let me tell you a little story. I had this on the PC for ages, and I quite enjoyed it, to be honest, and I was playing it. I think my PC might be a little bit stretched playing this game. I'm only on a single screen, so I think it might be a bit stretched for the first time playing a game flat out. All the sort of settings to epic or things like that. So I have to turn some of the things down. And when playing with the AI, I don't tend to play games online, if I'm honest, really. With the AI, it was struggling. So what I did was I waited until I could get hold of a PlayStation 5. I had a PlayStation 4, and this game came out on console. And I tried the game on PlayStation 5 with a few updates later, and I was really, really impressed with the way it played. Bear in mind, I hadn't played the PC version for ages. In fact, I was blown away of how well it played on the PlayStation 5 and how it looked, considering the reviews that I was reading and people that were playing it on the console. PlayStation 5, they were complaining about it. PlayStation 4, it was a bit of a dog, and as far as I'm aware, Xbox Series, Xbox One, Xbox One X, whatever it's called. I've got an Xbox. I haven't got the new one, but they weren't happy with that either. So I was anyway. I was very surprised of how well it played. I've played it for many hours actually. So, and then what I decided to do was pair the PC version to the console version. That's what I did, and I was absolutely blown away of how good the PC version is. Now, considering I think it's had quite a few patches put upon it since I've last played it, I still think it stretches my PC a lot, and I haven't actually done a race with the AI yet. But what I have done, as I was comparing some lap times I was doing from the PlayStation 5, and then trying out the similar or the same car at the same track, the same, weather, etc., and give it a go. And I can't believe how well Assetto Corsa Competizione simulates the tyre model system. It's probably the best that I've ever had the pleasure to play, and I mean that on any sim that I've recently played in depth. So I've even got quite into Race Room, and I think that's quite good, but it's not a smidgen on this. So what it prompted me to do was to do a lap and analyze the lap within Assetto Corsa Competizione, keeping it a fairly stock setup. I did mess around with the traction control and what worked for me, and then recently, as in yesterday of filming this video anyway, not when you'll probably watch it, Assetto Corsa Competizione brought out the Challengers Pack, and I've downloaded that. It was £9.99. They've got a number of cars, and they've also got the Audi R8 LMS Evo 2. The one I was using in the original Assetto Corsa Competizione was just the Evo, straight Evo. So I was actually going to just compare the two cars. So I've done an Audi, the R8 Evo, and what I did around Donnington Park, and I wasn't really going like hell for leather. It was just what I felt was a quick lap, and then analysing the corners of where I can improve. And I did that kind of offline, so I'll go through that with you. My lap time, which isn't, it's not impressive. I'm not that I know what the online lap times would be. I think the lap time in real life is like 126, 127 or something for these cars, but I'm way off that. So I did a 1 minute 33.870. Now that was in the standard R8 LMS Evo, the one that comes with the game anyway. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go over to the car replay. Now I did try to record the replay, but it was for some reason stuttering, and it isn't doing that within the game. So unfortunately, what I can't do is show you it in like real time. I'm gonna pause it on each corner and just with you talk to you about if I can improve that corner in any way, because it's still fresh in my mind. Talking about the lines, the corners, and perhaps the difficulty within that corner. I don't think I'm going to do every corner because it depends where the camera angle is. One thing with this game, I'm not aware on that we can do this. It's a pity they don't have like free cam, so you can pause the replay in a certain position and then whiz around the car. If you can do that, well, I haven't found it, so there's a few things that could done with being implemented within this title, in my opinion. So let me just set up the replay, and I'll go over the lap with you, and we ended up with a 1 minute 33.870. Okay, so let me just get that sorted. So here we are at Donnington Park, Castle Donnington as it's known. For those that don't know, it's a 2.5, nearly 2.498, but 2.5 mile circuit with 12 turns. The lap record, this is interesting just for information purposes. The race lap record, and I don't mean in GT cars, these are F1 cars, was done in, no it isn't, I think that's not an F1, I think that's looking at that, it could be like an LMP or something, but in 2013 the lap record was, or is, 117.707. Now for a GT car it's somewhere in the 120, 126s, 127, so it's miles off that, and I'm miles off that in my time. So, but anyway, so let's go back to Donnington Park, and we're coming down what they call the main straight. It's known as the Wheatcroft Straight. And the first corner, which is a right-hander, we call this Redgate. Now, what I find is when we approach, as you can see by there, my approach line, you have to use, I say you have to use, I'm going to be a bit careful with my wording here. Because the corners, it's more than 90 degrees, you find that the first corner at Redgate needs to be a later apex. If you hit the apex too early, you end up going off the track. So to help you with that, what I found was you need to take a slightly wider line in, and as you can see there, it's always pretty contentious by having to use the pit lane exit to widen the corner as you turn in. And you'll see there that what I found in my lap times is the ideal line to keep a GT car's momentum up through the corners. It might differ from car to car, but what I found with the Audi was taking a wider line in. And as you can see, there's probably a little bit more room because you've got the green, what they call grasscrete, behind where the grass ends, and they've painted the next bit green. I don't know whether the rules allow you to go over the line, but in all the racing I've seen over the years, all the cars tend to go over that line if they want a quick lap, or the front runners. So yeah, so the first corner is Redgate. And what I'm going to try and do is replicate this lap in the other car, but a nice wide line in, so using some of that pit lane. We're going to go on to the next, what I feel is a important corner on the track. So once we come out of Redgate, we go around a sort of a sweeping right-hander called Hollywood. And then this is the important bit. This is what they call the Craner curves. And this is the left-hander, the first part of the Craner. This, I believe, is a really important corner on the track. Now, as you can see there by my car, I still think there's room for improvement there of using a little bit more of that curb. Because the car's you're turning left, all the G-forces of the car's pushing you to the right. And you've got to bring the car back over to the left. So if it starts to drift out to the right, you need to keep a compromise of this corner to keep left on the exit. Because the next corner, which is called the Old Hairpin, I'm going to put a picture up in a minute, which is probably one of the most important corners on the track to keep your momentum up. Now, although it's called the Old Hairpin, it's not an actual hairpin. But back onto the Craner curves. These are a very famous set of corners at Donnington Park, Castle Donnington. And generally speaking, to be honest, you need to carry as much momentum through these as possible. It's very difficult when it's wet, but coming through Hollywood, and then that's a right-hander, and then the left-hander, your speed, you're probably at quite a maximum speed here, scrubbing off as much speed as possible through the corner G-forces to keep the speed checked. Now, as you can see there, as I've said, I believe that possibly we can keep slightly more to the left. And I feel, if I'm honest, maybe a slightly later apex, because looking at the car there and the way it will come out of this particular corner, the Craner, it's going to naturally send you over to the right. You're going to really struggle to keep, because you're braking as well, heavy braking, and keeping the car straight and to the left. So we're going to nip out. Hopefully, I'm not sure how the camera angle works, but I'm going to try and show you the best picture I can anyway of the Old Hairpin. So here we are at the Old Hairpin, and straight away this is a right-hander. You can see that the line I'm taking there, just that's the best I can get regarding to show you where the curb is and my line. But when you come out of the hairpin there, the Old Hairpin, you tend to drift quite wide, and I personally think from the line there, I'm on the wrong line, because I need to be turned more in to the hairpin, which means I need to be more to the left on approach and an earlier apex. That is a rather late apex by myself, and I believe I lost quite a lot of time there on the exit, trying to gather the car up and not drift wide. Coming round the hairpin, what's called, as you come out the hairpin, there used to be an old bridge, which they call Starkey's Bridge. The next corner's, in my opinion, not particularly very difficult. It's called Starkey's Bridge. And then we're going to head off now down to what I believe is another mega important two corners which can make or break this lap. We're going to head over to what they now call Shauns curve, named after a famous motorcycle rider from the 500cc era GP, and then into what I think, I'm just looking at the names now, McLean's. So Shauns curve and McLean's is very much like a smaller version of it, of coming down the Craner and round the Old Hairpin. So we're going to nip over to that corner now to see how I get on there. So this is Shauns curve, And as you can see, as I'm going around, there's definitely more time on the table there. I'm actually not. I'm on the white line, so you need some curbing here because again, it's a left-hand sweeping bend, which goes uphill slightly to a blind right-hander. So definitely time can be made there coming out of away from Starkey's Bridge. It's a fairly ever decreasing. Well, it's a left-hander, a bit of a straight, and then the next left-hander. The car's forcing itself to the right of the track, so you've got to take the correct line. I looking at that there, I'm far too wide in my opinion. So with a GT car, that's a fairly flat curb anyway, so quite safe to get your inside front wheel and rear wheel on that as you're going round. I would probably use about a third of that curb next time to get the angle for coming up to McLean's. So we're going to have a look now at McLean's and seeing how the switch from going to the left and to the right to see if this particular line there has compromised me in any way. So this is the best camera angle I currently have for this corner. This is McLean's. You can see in the background there, Schwantz curve. So you sort of a little bit more of the curbing of the rumble strips there as you're going to the left. I didn't do a too bad a job here, to be honest. It's keeping the momentum as you're going round McLean's. And one of the problems here is, again, it's too much of an early apex. You can probably see there the front inside wheels probably on the curb, I would say. And looking at where those pylons are, you need to be slightly wider coming in and a later apex because you're going to carry momentum up the hill slightly. You do tend to run wide coming out this corner. There's a lot of sand and gravel trap there, so you can get away with it, but it does slow you up. It's slightly uphill for the next important corner. And again, this one is also the apex. You cannot see it because you're going uphill, and it depends on the time of day as well. The sun can be right in your eyes here. So the next corner we're going to hop over to is Coppice. Now this a key corner for getting maximum speed down onto the main so it's the main straight, the back straight. Hasn't got a name. Used to have a bridge. Don't know if it still has. I can't remember now. But it used to be a bridge down there, Dunlop Bridge. But Coppice is a blind right-hander. Again, we're going to have a quick look to see how I get round there. So here we are at Coppice. It's a right-hander. It's sort of tighter in, wider coming out. You can't really see the apex on approach, but for information purposes, again, in my opinion, this right-hander here, you need to take a lot of curbing. You can see the marker cone there on the inside, and I'm after that, so I haven't hit the apex at that cone. It's after that, and I've got the whole car using the grasscrete and the curb. The car does get a lot of grip here. It's a very flat curb, and you can actually carry a lot more speed through Coppice than you realise. And it's really important that you try and maintain the sort of the speed without bogging down, because it will compromise your speed onto the back straight, which comes up to the Fogartyesses. Now, as far as I'm concerned there, the Fogartyesses are very, very important, because this is the full Grand Prix circuit at Donnington. You've got the Melbourne hairpin after that, and then Goddards. They are just hairpins, but I think it's the exit of the Goddards hairpin which is important. So in a minute we're gonna skip over the two hairpins of the lines and things. It's pretty much a hairpin's a hairpin, and there are optimal lines, and you can sort of work out yourself the best line around the hairpin. So we're going to move quickly on to the Fogarty S's. So I'm quite pleased with the corner there out of Coppice. I believe that was, you can probably improve that. Maybe, you don't quite have to do that much curb, but I wasn't fully over. I don't know if that would be illegal, but the left side tyres are on the white line. I'm not sure what the rules state there around that corner, but we're going to head off to the Fogartyesses and just see my line through there. Fogartyesses. So these, I wouldn't say are particularly difficult corners. However, the approach and your braking is really instrumental because it's very, very easy to lock a brake here and overshoot the first apex. As soon as you turn in, you can see that I'm using quite a lot of curb, and you have got the pylons there that stop you going in too far, because I think there's I don't know what that is there, but a concrete block, or there's something there, like it might be a plastic block, I don't know. But on the exit, there's a couple of sausage curbs, the yellow ones. You can just about make that out. But you can use the green, the grasscrete on exit to straighten the exit of the Fogartyesses. So the important thing here is the braking in a straight line and your first turn-in point. If you miss the apex or have to compromise your exit because of the overshot the first apex, it really balls up your exit speed down to the first hairpin. So the Melbourne hairpin, the first one, is the tighter of the two hairpins. I won't show you a picture there. I don't think that's particularly worth going over that. Again, it's just to do with traction, entry and traction. And then we go to Goddards. Now I think I'll try and show you the exit of Goddards, because that again is where a lot of time can be won or lost on the exit of that hairpin, because that leads back onto the main straight. So we're going to head over to the final part of this lap. Here we are at Goddards. So we're on the exit of Goddards, and we're coming back to the start-finish line. As you can see, when you come out of the hairpin, the important thing on the Grand Prix circuit, the line is slightly different on the shortened circuit. I think they call it the club circuit or something, or national circuit. I can't remember what they call it now, but this is the Grand Prix circuit. So coming out of Goddards, you must. Again, it's an opinion, but it's open for debate. You have to use as much of that curb as possible without dropping a wheel onto the grass or the sand. As you can see there, it's about half of the car when you come out of the corner, as far over to the right hand side as possible, to maintain and keeping the wheels as straight as possible. The worst thing you can do out of that hairpin is lose traction with the rear or the front, but if you lose traction, the car becomes unstable. Once you get on that curb, the car could go anywhere, to be honest. And I've seen many times over the years many race drivers getting that particular corner wrong, and this maintains the pace along the sort of the main straight, the Wheatcroft straight, and going back into Redgate. So that is pretty much, in my opinion, a talk through lap with some stills of the important corners. There's 12 corners in total on the circuit. I've gone over about 8. I have actually looked at the replay whilst doing this, and it hasn't stuttered. So I'm very tempted to put the replay at the end for you guys to watch. If I do that, I apologise in advance if it's stuttering. But on the bits and pieces that I've seen, because I've been taking snapshots and watching a little bit of the replay, it hasn't stuttered. So I don't know why it was doing that. So apologies in advance. But again, I will thank you for listening. I hope you found that interesting. And I will see you next time. So enjoy a lap of Donnington.